Earlier on the broadcast, we heard from Adrienne Arsenault on women's rights in Afghanistan. Adrienne has also been working on stories about Pakistan, another place where there is concern about lawlessness and corruption. While in Pakistan, Adrienne sat down with Fatima Bhutto. Bhutto is part of Pakistan's great political family, but she's very much her own woman. Bhutto is an outspoken columnist whose sharp criticism of the government has put her at odds with many, including her own family. Here's Adrienne Arsenault with the Other Bhutto.
Pakistan's biggest city, Karachi, has many faces, many successes, a lot of failures, and proud residents who have complicated relationships with their home. The most famous child of Karachi, and unquestionably the one with the most complicated attachment, is the young poet, writer, and dynastic daughter, Fatima Bhutto. At 15, she wrote a book of poetry, then another years later about Pakistan's devastating earthquake. She's also a fierce political columnist in Pakistan and abroad. And that's a matter of nature and nurture. Because Fatima is the niece of assassinated Benazir Bhutto, the daughter of murdered Murtaza Bhutto.
Here you are. I'm going.
And the granddaughter of Prime Minister and President Zulfikar Bhutto, who was hanged. She is especially proud of him. This painting in the family compound is of the peace deal he signed with India's Indira Gandhi. What if he could see Pakistan now? Would he be horrified to see Pakistan now?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't think he'd recognize it. You know, I don't think he'd recognize Pakistan. I don't think he'd recognize the party he founded. And he would be especially appalled at how his name and his legacy is being used as political currency.
Fatima Bhutto is not the sort to sugarcoat. And when we met in her home to talk of Pakistan's problems, I asked, how bad is bad?
It is very dangerous. You know, Pakistan is a nuclear country that doesn't have electricity. We've missed our goals to eradicate polio in this country because we can't refrigerate the vaccines. And we don't have electricity in this city.
We've already lost it once.
We've lost it once today in the time that we've been together. We don't have water in this city. There is no garbage disposal in the city. So I think the evidence of this party's corruption is ample. I mean, this is a country that's at the mercy of two unelected figures. You know, the president and the opposition, Nawaz Sharif. They don't have a constituency. They don't come from an area that has pushed them forward to lead. It's amazing, actually. You know, this is the only nuclear country in the world that I know of that's led by two former criminals.
Corruption, ineptitude, violence, arrogance, this, she reasons, is what's killing Pakistan. And hearing offers of financial help from President Barack Obama in the name of fighting militancy doesn't impress. But isn't that good that the money comes? I mean,
no, it's not good because this money is not going anywhere. You know, the Americans gave $10 billion to General Pervez Musharraf's dictatorship. It's $10 billion, and there is no evidence of that. You know, terror has only expanded in Pakistan. Pakistan's army has been under attack for the last 5 years from its own people. So that $10 billion in military aid didn't make this country safer. It didn't make our neighbors safer, and it didn't eradicate terror.
This is a woman who's known the worst of the nation's security failures. She lives behind high walls with armed guards and knows that still, that sort of protection means nothing. Her father, after all, was killed within sight of these walls. He was shot repeatedly and at close range by police. Fatima was just 14 at the time, hiding in the closet with her baby brother while the shooting raged outside. She knows that fighting terror in Pakistan requires political will. She's just not sure it exists here. Is this country capable of fighting terror?
Absolutely, the people are capable. I mean, I don't know about this government. How do you fight terror when you concede and you capitulate to Islamic militants in the Swat Valley? I don't think that's fighting terror. But the money that comes in is being given to a party that has a history of corruption. Asif Zardari is known in Pakistan. He was known during his wife's first term as Mr. 10%, and during her second term, he was upgraded to Mr. 50%. You know, this is a man who was facing, until he became president, corruption charges in Switzerland, Spain, and England. So where do we think $7.5 billion is going to go?
I have to say, and I'm sure people say this to you every single time, it is still very strange to hear you talk in such disconnected tones to the president and his wife. You're talking about your aunt and uncle.
Yes, but I'm also speaking as a Pakistani who's had to suffer their policies and their governments for years now. And, you know, their unfortunate relations, the relationship to me doesn't make it possible to excuse what they've done to this country. You know, it's amazing that we had a women prime minister 2 times in Pakistan, but we still have laws in place in this country that criminalize the victim of rape, that makes adultery a crime punishable by death, that makes premarital sex a crime punishable by death. And Benazir Bhutto was a 2-time prime minister.
And you have no sway with Zardari now? You can't pick up the phone and have a conversation with him?
Oh, well, you know, I believe that my father was killed in 1996 under the directions of Benazir Bhutto and her husband Asif Zardari. So I don't think they'd want to hear from me.
With all that's happened, all that could yet happen, and all that's wrong about this city and country she calls home, it's a wonder she just doesn't go. But Fatima Bhutto seems determined to stay and just maybe to play a bigger role in its future.
You know, what I've lived through in Karachi has been extremes. You know, there've been times of a lot of happiness and joy and sadness. My father was killed just feet away from our front door. So I don't think that Karachiites feel that there's a red line, because we've seen it all. We've seen many ups and many downs. But I do think that it's important to stay, to do what we can to keep it from reaching a red line. You know, if you leave, what are we leaving it to? Or who are we leaving it to?
Fatima Bhutto in conversation with our Adrienne Arsenault. You can watch more of Adrienne's reports from Pakistan on our website.